Tuesday, October 9th, 2018, Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okey-doke. First on the agenda this evening, we have tax classification hearing. Diane, would you like to join us at the table? And is there I will read the notice that was in the newspaper. Town of Rockport tax classification hearing, Tuesday, October 9th, 2018, 6:05 p.m., Conference Room A, Rockport Town Hall, discussion of unified or multiple property tax classifications, signed Board of Selectmen, Sarah J. Wilkinson, Chair, and it was in the Gloucester Times on October 2nd, 2018. Is there a motion to open the hearing?
I move that the Board of Selectmen open the annual tax classification hearing.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Open or closing? No, roll call? No, regular? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Good evening. Nice
Hello.
to see you.
Good to see you too. Now, I don't know, I never remember how we do this, whether you guys just go ahead and look at the material that was given out and make a decision, or whether I'm to make some sort of a statement.
Why don't you just make like just kind of a, you do such a nice like 1 minute brief.
If
You don't mind.
the purpose is to decide whether we have a split tax rate. The split tax rate means that the commercial and industrial people would be taxed at a higher rate. They would absorb more of the tax, and it would save a little for the residential. As with every other year, we really don't have a big enough percentage of commercial and industrial to shift it that way. I don't think. We have less than a 5% commercial and industrial. And I think it would be a burden for the commercial, and it's not very inviting for people to want to come into town if you're giving them a higher tax rate. But that's pretty much my statement on that.
Questions from the board?
All right, all the stuff.
Routine.
I had a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So, help me understand, Diane. What's the difference between residential and personal property?
Personal property is a different tax altogether. Residential is part of real estate tax. Personal property is a different tax. Personal property covers a tax that's on businesses and also on the contents of homes that are
okay.
not primary domiciles.
Okay,
So
thank you.
it's two different things.
Okay. That was my
Okay.
only question.
And given that this is a public hearing at this point, are there any public comments? Toby?
Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. Is this working?
Yes.
Yeah. First, the comments that
there we
are...
go. She turned it up a little.
Pardon?
She turned it up a little. Now it sounds better.
First, the comments that are certainly relevant. Every time that we're asked to support expenses for the commercial interests in the town at the town meeting, we're told that these produce greatly for the town's revenue. It's my feeling, and I've said for years, that this isn't the case. I don't think that it would be fair to have a split tax rate. If you're done, I'll continue. To have a split tax rate, it would, as we've just been told, are told every time, hurt the commercial and industrial interests and not greatly profit the rest of us. But when we're told that these interests, the commercial interests, support the town, which we are at every other turn, I don't see how we can have it both ways. In fact, it's a tiny proportion of the revenue that the town gets. You've just been told 5% of the taxes. And I think we should make some calculations, this isn't directly relevant to what we're doing at the moment, on how much the town gets for the licenses for the various commercial and industrial businesses. Is that all presented in one place in the town report?
I think it's separate in the town report, and you're welcome to have at it with a calculator, I would say, right, Mitch?
Reports that are located right there.
But all of the information is in the town
All of it
report.
is in the town report,
Yeah.
in the accountant's section or the
Yep.
treasurer's section or both.
Your mic's not on, Mitch.
Yeah. So it's
So
all
we
in the
would
town
know
report.
if we knew what pages to look at, exactly how much the town got for the licenses for
Well,
the
you-
commercial interest.
You could include whatever you thought was appropriate. I think we probably vary on what we feel are different expenses to appropriate where, but I think you could take the town report and pull out whichever ones you did and get an accurate number for yourself.
Of what the town takes in, I'm speaking of, not what the town pays out.
Yeah.
Is that?
Madam Chair, all of that information is in the town report.
Yeah.
I want to say
Thank
it's
you.
potentially
Thank
the
you.
green pages.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The other remark it relates to the assessors, it seems now would be the time to make it, is that it relates to woodlots, which I've spoken of before. And woodlots, unbuildable lots generally, are taxed at roughly 1/10 of what buildable lots, you or I pay for a house lot, or if you had an extra lot beside it that was buildable, what you would pay on that. So all of us who are paying for house lots or potential house lots are providing a grand tax shelter for those who have the woodlots. And it's a fine thing, in one sense, for the people who have them. We don't want to drive these people to sell them or deprive them of their property. What's wrong with the whole system, what you can't change and the assessors can't change, but the state could, is that when you decide, that this could be turned into a development, courtesy of the planning board, a subdivision, or the Board of Appeals, hey presto, having paid, and had a tax-sheltered investment for umpteen years, hey presto, you've won the lottery. And it's at the expense of all of the people who are paying for house lots. So I'm asking you, when you have Senator Tarr and Representative Ferranti in, I think that's to be later next month, if you would put that on your agenda for things that need to be changed in the state law, so that the people would be able to pay for the lots at the lower rate, and when they cashed in, would have to pay back for the tax shelter for all the years that we've been paying to support their investments.
I'm happy to discuss that when we meet with our
Yeah.
assessors, but I don't think it's an appropriate
Not at all.
No,
discussion thing
Not
to
at
just,
not in that type of.
yeah, in that context.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
No, if
That's
that's
good
an
with me.
issue for the senator or for the representative, then everybody's welcome to contact them, as they're welcome to come here to our office and see us.
Yeah.
Well said.
Did you have a comment on that, Diane?
I don't really, I don't disagree with what he's saying, that I have seen in some cases where people have had a lot as an unbuildable lot and paid it only
Right.
10% for, and then suddenly it's on the market and they sell it as a buildable lot, and,
Right.
and, it's being assessed at $20,000 and they sell it for $300,000. So, yeah, it does, it is true, it is a fact, but it is it's beyond us, it's
Yeah.
bigger than us to do anything about it, so.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments on the tax classification hearing? No. Okay, is there a motion to close the hearing?
Where's
That would be me. I move that the Board of Selectmen close the tax classification hearing.
Seconded.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And then is there a motion to adopt a unified tax rate for fiscal year 19?
I move that the Board of Selectmen adopt a unified tax rate for fiscal 19.
Is there a
Second.
second? Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Thanks again, Diane. It's always
you.
nice
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Thanks, Diane.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. All signed.
Thank you very much.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Thank you. Okay, next we have public comment period. Mr. Mikas? Mikas. Good evening.
Tom Mikas, 73 Marmion Way, and Chair of the Rockport Rights of Way Committee. I've been working with the group, mostly out of Gloucester, and some participants from Rockport, to get the Dogtown area designated as a National Historic Place. And I understand that there's been a lot of concerns raised in the media very recently. I'm not on Rockport Facebook stuff, so I...
Smart, smart.
So I don't see all
For the best.
But I know there's concerns that have been raised, and I understand some of them might be based on misinformation. There was a public hearing that was held last year at the beginning of the project, and some very nice handouts with public information. that I think can just display the correct information to eliminate the concerns.
Great. Do you have
So-
extra copies of those?
I can give these to.
Can we grab a couple and then maybe we can get a link to this on the website if it's appropriate?
Yeah, they're available on the Mass
Great.
Historical Commission
Okay.
website, but I'll give you these
Perfect.
copies.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to get a link from the town website.
It's probably on the
Right.
note.
Yeah. Super helpful. Contrary to social media, you're not looking to put a resort or
Amusement park.
amusement park. Amusement park. I think that was my favorite amusement park. Yeah, Monica.
With a Ferris wheel.
With a Ferris wheel that you can see from all of town.
Is Monica Lawton, 11 Story Street. Just to add to Tom's remarks, that public hearing was last November 29th, widely publicized in the Gloucester Times. It was at Gloucester City Hall. The hall was full. People had plenty of opportunity for questions and comments, et cetera, at the initial stages of the project. And it pains me to see the misinformation circulating. I haven't yet had the courage to jump in on Facebook, but I will say, as someone who leads hikes in the woods on a weekly basis, there are limits to letting sleeping dogs lie and letting it be wild. It takes a lot of work to clear those trails, to maintain them, to keep them safe, to remove the trash, so that people can enjoy them. And when you don't do that, they just turn into a trash heaps, and people get lost, etc. And I have had the opportunity to work closely with all of the groups that are most involved in stewardship of that area, the Mass Audubon, Green Belt, the Friends of Dogtown, Cape Ann Trail Stewards, et cetera, et cetera. And as far as I know, not one of them has ever advocated anything like a national park, big parking lots, visitor centers, or anything else. None of them want that. They just want to preserve the woods as they are. And so it raises the question, well, who is it who is advocating for all of this expansive plans? There is no one. No one is advocating. So there's a lot of whipped up frenzy over proposals that no one is putting forward. Maybe there was discussion 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but there is no current discussion or no advocates for doing anything other than preserving Dogtown, maintaining it, and perhaps providing some eligibility for grants so that there is help to maintain and preserve, because I can assure you there are not enough volunteers right now to keep it clear and keep it safe. So I would not like to think there would be any kind of wavering in support within our municipal, our town bodies for this designation, because I think it can do nothing but benefit, and it is of certainly no detriment to the private landowners who will not be restricted in any way from the personal use of their property.
Great, thanks, Monica. Toby?
Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. I attended your workshop last week. I'm tempted to make remarks about that. I won't. You've heard what I had to say. You've got a workshop coming up next week, too. Half of that is to be devoted to a sewer overlay district, or at any rate, sewer capacity. Such meetings tend to be gab fests and go round and round in circles unless everyone starts on the same page with the same information. Jim Gardner, who's currently chair of the DPW Commissioners, came before the Planning Board last fall. I'm not sure whether it was late October or early November, and spoke in their public comment period for about 10 minutes. It was an excellent presentation on what the town faces in terms of needs and demands on the sewer, and what the town's response might be. He didn't give sources. That would not have been necessary or appropriate in that setting, but I'm asking you to ask him to get all of that information down on paper with the sources that it came from, because I found it most persuasive. The planning board, as it happened, turned a deaf ear, and the planning board has other interests. They wish to encourage development and feel that in any way curtailing extensions of the sewer will work counter to that, which it might. But the question is, do you want to pay for a new sewage treatment plant costing $20 million or more? So if you would ask him to get that information out to all of the people who would be attending the hearing, you'd be doing yourselves a great favor. There may be other information that the planning board has that also should go to all the participants. And another thing, we keep hearing that the town is fading away, the population decreasing. I'm not convinced of it, and I think you should get the actual facts and figures from the town clerk, who crossed off 300 or 400 people when she took over the job. And the population has been pretty much steady since. So if you would get those facts and figures from her,
Let me just cut you off. So all of the information you've asked us to get, I would just ask you to get it directly for yourself. I think you are more than welcome to go to the DPW meeting and to talk to the town clerk. But as I've said a million times, I'm not playing the middleman between boards and committees. When we meet with them next week, we will have an agenda and we will get the information we want. But to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to show up next Tuesday night and have you start yelling at everyone that we didn't provide the information you asked for. You are more than welcome. DPW meets tomorrow night, right? Assume 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
And
Police station.
Police station, and you can ask Jim directly for that information.
I certainly will, but it's not up to me to do so. I'm not a public official. If you don't have the information,
You're
it will
a
simply-
resident.
Simply
You can do
be a gab
We
fest.
will have the information we want.
Yeah,
But you,
ask him.
but you find it incumbent upon us to do that, when you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Go to the DPW commissioners meeting,
wanna get things
request it of
going.
them.
I'm not gonna, okay, thanks. Anyone else for public comment? Chief?
Russell Anderson, 80 High Street, Rockport. There's been some issues that have been going on between myself and the fire chief in Rockport. I've held them back for years.
Can't get into, Madam Chair, we can't get into personnel matters in a
Can't,
public
no
meeting like this.
personnel issues, Russ.
So
We can't.
Should the chief
Okay.
make an appointment?
Then
with them to
answer a question
discuss
for me,
it with you?
please. Where do I get questions answered?
So you should make an appointment and go meet with Mitch.
I've been with Mitch several times,
So,
made
Madam Chair,
zero headway.
so Madam Chair, as I
Sarah-
would say, generally speaking, and this is the stance with any personnel matter, if somebody has a particular concern that they express, we address the matter. But it's a personnel issue, and we are unable in many cases to respond back with particular actions that we were taken or research that we've done, because that's simply not something we're allowed to do.
It's a violation of privacy laws,
It
isn't
is.
it?
Yes.
Right.
It is.
Yes.
I have sent 5 emails. You have received 5. Mitch has received 5. There has been one comment made back to me.
Well, there were probably 30 to 40 emails before that there were comments made back to, just to be fair.
What is it?
There were dozens of emails before that there were comments made back to. We actually finally had to
think
draw the
that-
line.
I really and honestly think that this insult and whatnots in front of my children is inappropriate.
Okay, so we should stop this here, and if you believe that something between another citizen is happening with your family, you should go directly to the police, especially if you're not comfortable going to Mitch with it.
Okay.
But that's, unfortunately,
Okay.
that's the best
Then
I
I
can
should
do.
take it to your suggestion, I take it to the next step and ask for police.
Nope, I'm
carry
just saying that
through.
you should bring your concerns to the police. I'm not at all suggesting what you should ask. I'm just saying that you should bring your concerns with the police and handle it with them there. But in terms of the town, the best that I can do is for you to make an appointment with Mitch, who's the HR director, and deal with it that way. If you're not comfortable with that, then I would recommend going to talk to the police.
Okay. Part of that has already been taken care of. I'm trying to keep this low key.
Great.
All I'm trying to do is to have somebody stop insulting me
Right.
in front of my children.
I understand, so I think if you're not comfortable going to Mitch, you should talk to the police chief.
And why do I send 5 emails and get no answers?
Okay, so as I
Why
said
do I
before.
have-
She keeps on responding the same way. This is not gonna happen here in a public hearing. So-
I just want to make sure that everybody on the board is aware. I don't
Okay.
believe everybody
Everyone-
is.
Yes, but
everyone-
this is a
everyone on the
personnel
board is
issue.
is aware.
In respect to the person you're talking to, you can't do it.
Yep.
So,
But it's like the dial a prayer for heathens. You call the number, but nobody answers.
Okay, so we should end this before it takes an inappropriate turn. But I would suggest again to make an appointment with Mitch. If you're not comfortable with that, you should go to the police. And that's unfortunately that's the best. Our hands are tied. That's the best
Everyone
I can
has
do.
rights.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to do
And I have
employees and
rights.
residents.
I don't think this should be
understand.
done in
Russ,
front of
of course
my
you do.
grandchildren.
I
Yeah, I go to
understand.
where I'm supposed to go and go somewhere else.
I understand. So you should honestly, at this point, I think you should probably go talk to the police.
5 months ago, why didn't somebody tell me?
Okay,
This is
so
what I should
we're
have
going to
done.
end this now and move on.
I'm sorry?
We're going to end this now and move on.
I didn't get you.
We're going to end this. We're going to stop the comments now.
So
'cause
we're at the end of another dead-end street and just forget it.
Well, I've given you 2 recommendations that I personally
That have already
would-
been done.
Oh.
Why, I'm asking is why 5 months later am I told, well, this is what you should be done? This began in May.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay. Well,
And I asked
I've
another
answered.
member of the Board of Selectmen how I should do this, and I've never got a reply from that person either.
Okay. Well, unfortunately.
Pretty sad.
Okay, so the
Pretty sad.
2, just to restate once again, and then we'll end the conversation.
Please do.
Is if you'd like to make an appointment with Mitch, he can meet with you, or take your concerns up to the police.
Right. That
Okay.
still does not answer why I have to wait 5 months when nobody ever
Okay,
comes
well,
back.
that's, now at this point, we have to keep moving with the meeting. Okay, thank you. Are there anyone else for public comment? No? Okay. Moving on, we have the interview of Jen Perry as a member of the Council on Aging. Hi, Jen. Hi. Welcome. If you want to join us up there, and I know Diane is here. Diane, we got your letters are always so lovely, like when you recommend new members. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. So the board received your letter of interest as well as Diane's letters, but if you wouldn't mind just telling us and the millions of viewers about yourself, your experience. I'd love also to add your experience at the Open Door.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So I am a native of Rockport. I graduated from Rockport High School in '96.
Who was your favorite social studies
Oh,
teacher?
Mr. Murphy, hands down.
Like it?
We all had little crushes on Mr. Murphy.
Oh, stop.
All right, I'm laying it on too thick. So I went on.
You're blushing.
He's blushing.
You're bright red cloud.
I am.
Good.
She's making him feel old, I think, actually.
I went on to Regis College from there and earned a bachelor's degree in sociology. And I went to work at Brandeis University for a social policy research group, where I was part of an evaluation team for a national substance abuse initiative. And I did that for a few years, and it was a great experience. But I was looking for something a little more hands-on. I wanted to have a bigger impact in the world. So I started looking for opportunities on Cape Ann, closer to home, and I started volunteering at the Open Door. And I joke that I went back every week until they hired me, but it's mostly the truth. I kept coming back for volunteer shifts. And then I joined the team in 2005. And in that time, I've run our kitchen. I have been our volunteer coordinator. I've written grants. I've run programs. I've helped launch a satellite food pantry in Ipswich. I've done a lot of different things. We're one of the larger Cape Ann nonprofits. Our mission is to alleviate the impact of hunger. Last year, we served over 7,700 people, and we distributed 1.8 million pounds of food. Wow. It's just incredible numbers. Wow. And I supervise a team of about 14 people. And we have several mobile programs going into Rockport. Rockport is part of our geographic service area. And our programs primarily are serving older adults. So in 2015, I bought a house in Rockport on Forest Street, which I love. And I realized I was really invested in other communities, but I wanted to be involved where I lived. So I started looking for volunteer opportunities in the town, and that's when I found out about the Council on Aging position, and it seemed perfect for my background and my skills. And so I've attended a couple of meetings and been talking with Diane, and yeah, have an interest in joining.
Goodness, we should just put Jen in a little jar.
I was thinking the same thing.
That was one of the best openings I've heard.
Oh,
It really was. That was fantastic.
thanks.
Awesome. I love this. I love that you're recruiting younger people and you know what I mean, people of all ages to help with the Council on Aging. Like what a win-win, right? There we go. Perfect. Questions from the board?
No, sounds great.
We're all we're like sign on the dotted line now.
Perfect. I've seen her in action at the open door, and you do a great
Thank
job.
you.
And they're
Thanks.
just wonderful up there, and especially Jen.
And I think that's probably what I really bring to the table is the relationship I have to the Open Door and other service providers that are working with the Council on Aging and the Senior Center. I've been working in the community for a while now. I know who the players are, and I like to get things done.
That's great.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I loved how you said that you realized that you were invested in other communities, but not here. And I have so many people who say to me, oh, I work up the line, I go to school up the line, I'm too busy to invest time in Rockport. I'm like, we can all invest time in
Right.
Rockport. If you sleep here at night, you can find time to invest here in Rockport.
Well
It's
said,
hard,
well said.
but you can do it, as we all know here in this room. So I'm so excited to have you on board. Thank you so much for stepping forward. Does this fill your? Okay, well you've got to be close, right?
Gotta be.
You're on a roll, Diane.
Yeah.
You're on a roll.
Right now, we will now have an even number, which is illegal.
So we've got to find you an odd.
I think
You've got someone in the wings. Okay, great. That's awesome. Okay. Any further questions? And we will vote on we vote on
I'll make a motion.
Great, thank
Shall
you.
I move that the board nominate Jen Perry for a term on the Council on Aging to expire on June 30th, 2020.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded. We will vote on this tonight, and then we'll vote to appoint you at our next meeting, but you don't have to be there for that. You can get to work. Okay.
Don't let that
you.
stand in your way.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks so much. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Diane. Nice to see you as well. Thank you.
Where did Tom go? He's up now.
Oh, Tom disappear?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Monica's here. Monica. You want to see if he stepped outside? Oh, he had to leave. Oh, he does. Oh, okay. All right,
Oh,
great.
okay.
Okay. So next we have rights of way. So do you want to join us at the table and bring anyone you'd like? Yep. And then I'll just ask that you introduce everyone just for the record, obviously.
Vice Chair of the Rights of Way Committee, standing in today for Tom Meekus, who wasn't able to be here. With me, we have Ann Cahill, who, joined the committee just a few months ago, along with Mary Jane Sawyer, and Mary Devaney, who's trying to make an escape, apparently.
Mary's never escaping.
No luck.
One of our longest-serving members who has done so much for the committee over the course of the past 5, 6, 7 years. So
Has it been
I'm-
6?
Yeah.
Goodness. Wow.
So I guess I'll stay here.
Do you want to pull a chair up, or are you okay there?
No,
Okay.
I'm fine.
Great.
I did send a handout in advance.
We got the handout, yeah,
Yep.
so you can just
All
do
that
a
stuff.
briefing, and then we can turn into a more of a discussion if you want.
All right. Well, as I was writing up this 4-pager, I had to think to myself, wow, we're pretty busy. We're doing a lot, and which is good. And I think some of us tend to forget the scope of the work that we do and how active we really are. I started the handout with a little statement on the mission of the committee because it's not self-evident when you hear Rights of Way Committee, what does that do? And the mission, I think, is pretty powerful. The committee was formed in 1967, but really wasn't officially authorized and given an official charge until 1993. And it's basically, as it says here, to identify, mark, and maintain access to public property and public rights of way over private property, subject to review by this board. And that basically means physically taking care of the paths, making sure they're clear or arranging to make sure they're clear, researching the past history of the rights-of-way, because sometimes there are challenges to public passage over those rights-of-way, particularly if it's private property, and making sure the rights-of-way are carefully recorded, that we have the proper documentation so that we can help to preserve them into the future. I did make a reference to a video that's on our website, and I really do encourage you to take a look at it. It's on the Rights-of-Way Committee's homepage. Dates back to the 1990s with Ann Scheinwald and Ted Tarr and Ina Hahn. It is a fabulous video, though, and it really is so inspirational and will reaffirm for all of us the importance of the work to preserve the rights-of-way, because it's not an easy job. There is a booklet in the cabinet here that was written in the 1990s on preserving rights-of-way to the sea, and there's a large chapter on Rockport and all of the work that it took to preserve parts of the Atlantic Path and Old Garden Beach and the bridge down at near Long Beach. I've forgotten the name of it right now, but it's fascinating. Saratoga Creek. There are all these places you wouldn't think there'd be any controversy, but my goodness, you look in the files and it's like World War III over the rights to pass on some of these ways. So as far as the specific activities in the past year, we've had to spend some time trying to refill open positions on the committee. That sounds like a familiar refrain for a lot of committees in town. We've had 5 new members, including myself, within the past year, and that means we have a total of 8, so we have 3 members who have been on the committee for a period of time. With such turnover, you lose a lot of institutional history, so it means we're constantly relearning and re-educating ourselves on what's gone before. And one of the things that we learned in the course of this process is that we have a lot of information. And stored in those files there going back 20, 30 years. And it's a wealth of information, but it's almost inaccessible because of the deep paper files, et cetera, and electronic files, et cetera. So we have embarked this year on, just recently, on a project to try to systematize and to put as much as possible online. So we're reorganizing, and we're going to create a nice inventory to what's in the files so that we have ready access. And we're working with Frank Termina. We'll work with him to try to move our electronic files onto the Google Drive, the town Google Drive, where they'll be more readily accessible to the committee and to other public officials who would like them. That's a big project, and we're just now getting started, but we're committed to it. Sort of along the lines of, I think, what Jim Ugoni was doing with the Historical Commission. So that's a big project that we're working on right now. Let's see, the other, I'll just highlight the big projects right now. I think you're all familiar with the project that we're underway with, or that we're in process with, to improve the Atlantic path along the segment from Hoop Holes Cove up to Halibut Point, trying to create a marked pathway over the rocks, which are very, very hazardous in some areas. And we're never going to be able to eliminate the hazards, but perhaps we can at least chart the best possible course across those rocks and mark them in ways that are compatible with the environment and non-intrusive, et cetera. So I have been myself deeply involved in that, and am amazed at how complex even the smallest projects become, with notice of intent to the Conservation Commission and bid packages and notification of abutters, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these steps do mean delay in moving forward, And at this time, it's hard to know exactly what our timetable will be, but if all the pieces fall into place and we get approval from Concom and abutters, we hope to be able to move forward in the spring of 2019. This has to be done in warm weather, clearly, and it wouldn't take that long, probably no more than 3 or 4 weeks until we're done. So hopefully by this time next year, we'll have a way to navigate, because I will tell you, the ranger from Halibut Point led a walk along the Atlantic Path on, was it Labor Day weekend or thereabouts? You were on that, Mary, weren't? No, you weren't. And there were about 12 of us of all ages and abilities. And there might have even been 15. By the end of the walk, there were 2. People had to drop off. It was so bad, and it is so torturous, clambering over the rocks, and it's really not even just for the fit, because we had the younger people dropping off as well. So we want to try to do something about that. So that's big right now for us. Ongoing activities, we do a lot of research which comes into play in connection with the planning board. We gave the planning board some advice concerning Thornwood Road and proposed developments there, and it did influence some of their comments in their decision and their recommendations, etc. We did undertook a major project to research the status of all of the access paths to the Atlantic Path earlier this year, to document whether they were on private land or public land, and basically whether there'd been parking or no parking and what the condition is, etc. We put together a nice report that we turned over to the town administrator, so that at least there's a ready reference on the status of all of the access points to the Atlantic Path. And that was a very big project, and the research involved is quite extraordinary, really. Continuing in that vein, we realized that a lot of us who are new to the committee didn't really have a good handle on what we were responsible for. We all know about the Atlantic Path, but what else is there? And lo and behold, our charge is not limited to Atlantic Path. Our charge is expansive, rights of way throughout the town. And the north of town, the south end, the Old Garden Beach area, and not just the coast. It technically extends inland to the woodland areas. And sadly, I think it was 20 years ago, Anne Scheinwald, in the last paragraph in that book about preserving rights of way to the sea, said, now we can turn our attention to other areas in the woods. Well, 20 years later, we've been hard-pressed to do it. But what we have done is we have recently reached out to the other associations in town that we know have a stake in the coastal areas, the Old Garden Beach Association, the South End Association. We had them come to our meeting in September so we could understand better what they do exactly, what they do to keep up the paths in their area, so that maybe we don't have to worry about them and we can kind of make a check on the list. And I attended a meeting last week of the Open Space and Recreation Committee to hear about their plan, and I suggested there that we perhaps hold a meeting of all of the organizations that have some stake in overseeing, managing, maintaining the different parcels of land in town where there are paths and trails, etc., whether it be Delamarta Preserve, the Karen Preserve, or Woodland Acres, etc. And I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I will keep advocating for it, because in the course of that meeting, my question was, who is taking care? The Rights of Way Committee can't take care of Delamarta and Kieran and Woodland and the Town Forest Trail and all. Well, who is doing that? Well, Concom is doing some, and Cape Ann Trail Stewards is doing others, and
Greenbelt.
Excuse me?
Greenbelt.
Greenbelt is taking care of others, and people on the Conservation Commission are taking care of others. Well, it would sure be helpful to know, to have a list of the point persons for
Right.
all of the various areas in town.
I think that's a great idea. That's why you're standing here tonight, because I love communication amongst boards. I think it can solve problems, it can create opportunity. There's a lot of different things that can happen, and I think that's a great approach.
And Tom Mikas is also a designee to,
Excellent.
on the Open Space Committee too, so I will keep pressing him on that as well, because it was very, just a little tidbit at that meeting. Well, when we had our September meeting, the person on the, in the South End Association said he had no idea who was taking care of the paths in the headlands. And they're in good shape, but somebody's doing it, but he had no idea. Well, at this meeting last week at Open Space and Recreation, David Ives, sitting right next to me, said, "Oh, I'm taking care of the headlands." And he's a member of the Old Garden Beach Association, and the president didn't even know that his member was taking care of the headlands. So we need to gather all of this information so we can ensure this proper stewardship of all of the properties in town, and that they're well cared for, and that people can continue to enjoy them, and so that they don't disappear, because that can easily happen. So, and we did, prior to having all of this outreach, we did have some field trips to the South End and the Old Garden Beach area and all along the Atlantic Path, so that the committee could be very personally familiar with the areas that we know that we have to take care of. And out of that, we have produced a kind of a work order or a list of tasks, some of which we can do, but some of which we need the help of DPW. And I've been waiting for a slower time of year to
luck with that.
Yes. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. And we participate in Earth Day, of course, and we now have decided, in order to keep things clear, that we do have to contract for work to keep the Atlantic Path, because it's 2 miles of pathways, et cetera, and more probably. And so we contract for that, huge budgetary expense. Our budget is going to be strapped, so fair warning, we may be asking for some little additional help with that not this year, next budget season, because we are also now faced with a knotweed issue. And knotweed is quite an issue all over town. And we have a nice clump of it on Reed's Lane that would be nice to get rid of, but we had a case of sticker shock when we found out it would cost a minimum of, I think, $1,200 just to get it started. So we put that off till next year. But it's an issue. We've talked with the garden club, et cetera. Let's see, what else can I answer? Another one more thing that I will mention.
Great.
And 2 more things, and I'll let Mary Devaney take the second thing. But we have developed a kind of a protocol on what to do when you find abandoned fishing gear that's been washed up on the shores by storms or whatever, because we realized we didn't know what to do, especially if it's still in usable condition. So one of our members talked to the harbor master, talked to the DPW, and talked to some fishermen, and have drafted a protocol on who to call and what to do in those instances. So we will share that with Conservation Commission and Open Space, et cetera. I think
That should probably go on the town website as well.
It could, yes.
Yeah.
We wanted to get
Yeah.
sign off from
I
the-
couldn't believe Earth Day. I did clean up. Well, and we have I should preface it with, we have a fishing boat with just 10 lobster traps, but like the amount of gear that was even just at Old Garden is was overwhelming.
Yeah, well, just down at the end of the Cogswell Farm.
Yes. My husband used to live down there, and we used
Yeah.
to lug like
There are at
huge
least
balls
5
of
or
gear.
6 of them down there
Yeah.
right now. But we have to contact the abutters to find out, is it okay if we go in there? and
It's
remove, et cetera.
it's incredible the amount
Yeah.
of it.
So those are some of the highlights. Is there anything that any of you would like to add? And then I'd like Mary just to say a word about graffiti removal, which kind of falls under our umbrella. Anything to add?
I think you covered it nicely, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Mary, do you want to touch it?
Yeah, this is, if you remember, I think I was here, it was 2013 maybe, we made the anti-graffiti task
Yep,
force.
yep.
And it was myself and
Seems
Jill
to be working
Solomon.
well, though,
Well,
right?
thank you. Well, we've
Thank you.
I have developed protocols. Jill is ill now and can't work with me, so I mainly work right now with the chief of police
Yep.
and the DPW, and we don't have any meetings, but
You just get it done. You don't need meetings, Mary.
Yeah, I
You
just
Yeah.
get it done. Yeah, that's
They are, yeah.
But I
Right
want
to the point.
I have had a little. The DPW pays Anthony, and I send everything to you guys. It
Yep.
seems to come in waves. I don't know. I'm not really asking for anything. I'd just like you to sort of think about it. I was afraid, what if I drop dead or something? I have to teach somebody how to do this. I've written down protocols or something, but I just do. Anthony and I do it, and then we talk to the chief of police, and then they bill the DPW. And I know the DPW was given money for this.
Yes.
But I don't know how much or when. And I don't want to I mean, to me, the system
It
is
works.
really,
It works.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And
I think
it's-
you are so on it so quickly. It may be what makes it work, but it's like
well, it's not.
Emails come through, pictures, here's what
Yeah.
we need to do.
Yeah,
It's
so
all-
everybody's
I
followed
also, I want to caution everyone, we don't want to make it too publicized,
Right.
because
That was the
people are
point.
gonna, the kids and.
No, I don't want, I mean, I'm really happy with it right now. I just feel like
As
I
crazy
said,
as
if I
that
drop
sounds.
dead, I would
Yeah.
like somebody to know, to intervene, because it really, it's very important that we keep this on top of this.
Yeah, so I
because-
think maybe we should have Mitch just work with the police chief to make sure that any processes that you are all using
Sure,
are
yeah, right.
documented.
I've written that at the protocol, and the thing is
Perfect.
that I really want to emphasize how important Anthony Ciaramataro is.
Yeah.
The former sheriff, we did really well with them in the first 3 years. All we did was clear out stuff out of the town, and it really took that long. And I sent you a letter about how, I mean, it would have cost $20,000 at
Yeah.
least. And it, at that time, the sheriff who was in power, or whatever you call it, he liked to have his people out working. He wanted inmates. He thought it was good to participate in the community. The new one doesn't want anybody to leave the facility. And I got the guy I've been working with, and he came to, and he's gained all this weight, and he was depressed. I mean, oh my God. So now we can't count on them. And he loved to come to Rockport, and we always took him for lunch up here at the pizza place. And now we can't. So we're really quite dependent on Anthony Ciaramataro. And
Yeah.
I wanted to illustrate to you how wonderful it is. Oh, the other thing is we are really providing a lot of help too. We don't pay for any of this, but to Gloucester, because they don't have anything for this. And so they heard we had an anti-graffiti task force, and we've taken it off their library, off different DPW facilities.
Did you know that, Mitch?
And there was going to be a big, I worked a little bit with Val Gilman, but I don't know if any of you hike around Goose Cove, but somebody had written Gloucester, what did that say? Gloucester, no hope in Gloucester, on a great big giant moraine. It was so depressing. And every time I went by there, it just got me all upset. So I talked to I'm on the Dogtown Advisory Committee, and I started talking to them, and there was going to be a big road race, and I was saying, this is an absolute disgrace that people come up here to Cape Ann and see this. So they came up with the money, and Anthony went over there and took it down, and it is so beautiful, because he restores it. He makes it look like nobody was there.
Yeah.
And I brought a picture I wanted to show you, because I went over to Halibut Point. I hike everywhere, and like everybody on the committee. And so I found this graffiti at Halibut, and I got really upset about it, but it's not really under it's Rockport, but I just didn't, I felt like since they have the trustees and the division, the state, really. So I called them up and sent some emails, and they got on it right away, but they did a terrible job. So I'm going to have to go back, but I'm going to see if I can get them to do something. But look at the difference. Like, they just smeared it all around. I don't know what they used. But ours, and the granite is very difficult to work with.
Yeah.
And Anthony
Yeah.
Ciaramataro.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah,
Yep.
he does. an
Yeah, he
excellent
does a
job.
beautiful
knows how
job.
to handle it. And
Yeah.
He gets it
it's
cleaned
really-
right
yeah.
out.
So
have
I
you-
wanted
Thank you.
to just make this part of the Rights of Way, because Mary's on our committee, and this was, I think, a spin-off of the Rights of Way Committee. We're not involved at all.
Yeah.
And it really is all
Great.
Mary right now. And so if you quietly know of anyone who could help, because as she said, she's going to need help with this, and it's really not something I think the committee can
Well, if it could
take
be,
on.
what I'm thinking, I don't think we need to do anything right now. I mean, everything's
Making
good
you
now.
aware.
Making you aware, but if there were any other place that it would, under the umbrella, because it's like the anti-graffiti task force is basically, and I'm the director, so that's it. But we've sort of, the thing is, if it's under the rights of way, it's kind of good in a way, because we're the only people who are always on the ground.
Right.
You know, I mean, everybody on the committee hikes everywhere, and that's how we got involved to begin with, because people were going around and saying, getting, you know, very upset that, you know, you're out in this beautiful, pristine area, and all of a sudden you're seeing stuff that makes it look like a slum, and so,
Okay.
you know, I don't know, you know, just
Okay.
just to
Yeah,
be
we'll give
aware.
it some thought. Okay.
Yeah, but
I also,
nothing
I will.
that
I'll
has-
email
Thank
you
you.
because
Thank
I
you
have
very
a
much,
location
everyone.
for you
Thank
to
you
check
so
out.
much.
Thank you so much.
I have one request.
Yep.
None of the members of the committee are lawyers. We have to do a lot of research. We have to understand land use and rights and public rights and private rights, and it's awfully hard for us. So I would like to request, and I've mentioned this before, not necessarily in this form, that we have some kind of a workshop offered by council on land use and public ways, private ways, et cetera, and all of the issues surrounding them. I believe something like this was done in 2014, and not just for rights of way,
Yeah.
but for all of the boards and committees
Yeah, and we can
involved
have
with land.
people submit questions in advance
Yes.
so that
Yeah.
so that they're
Would really,
prepared and can
really
look into
appreciate
stuff.
that if
Yeah,
we
happy
could
to
do it.
Can we do it as one of our?
Thank you very much.
Come in anyway.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you, everyone.
Terrific.
That's what I'm saying. if we did
Thank
it.
you for all your hard
I
work.
just got a volunteer.
Oh, very good.
Mary Jane said she's interested.
Sure. I'll do the erase.
It's really cool, though.
Good.
Well, we don't have.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for all of your hard work.
Thank you.
No.
Okay.
Mary,
I've got my new recruit here.
thank you guys very much. Nice to see everyone, and thanks for all of your continued hard work.
That's
Nice
great.
to see you.
That's great.
Great.
I like the fact that you're staying.
They're not. They're just
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes, September 25th, 2018. I
Okay.
will
Weren't here
abstain
for
from
this.
these.
I move that the selectmen approve the minutes of September 25th, 2018.
Second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any changes or edits?
I'm good.
All good?
Eileen's
Stellar
a
as
star.
always.
I know,
She
Eileen.
is a star.
I know, knock on wood, right?
The truth.
People are reading books on the side just to keep up on you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, with one abstention. Great. Select Town Administrators Report, Liaison Reports. Mitch, you want to go first?
Certainly,
Just
Madam
been
Chair,
so
just to
quiet, you have nothing really going on. Just
certainly quite a bit going on. A lot of great news. Fortunately, many of the events the board is also present and the board is aware of, so it's great that we continue to share it that way. One note just to put out there for everybody to be aware of. So I've spoken individually to everybody, and we've confirmed that Jay Smith, the manager for Whistle Stop Market, will be coming to we're starting the next workshop early to accommodate, just to have Jay come in and share an update with the board on the status of his work being done for his alcohol license, and he has a November deadline, so he'll be here 5:30.
November 8th, I believe, right?
I believe it is the 8th.
Yeah.
So
Could you do us a favor before then? I know that
Certainly.
you made a visit there last week.
yes, I've done 2, and I'm going to do one more on
Great.
Monday.
So could you type up a list of like issues, concerns, questions, that
Sure.
we have in advance of that meeting?
Certainly.
Because obviously we're the appointing authority and we want to set him up for success.
Absolutely.
But it's important, obviously, that all of the regulations are followed and it's.
And Madam Chair, if I may, we made that completely clear.
We've
Right.
made it
Yeah.
completely clear.
Yeah, with
Yes.
him, so.
Yes, completely clear.
And the
Yeah.
corporation
And also
or
listen
the
what the
organization, so
expectations are.
I hope
Yeah.
that's gonna happen.
but
Yes,
I-
and the.
Oh, Ruth, right, Ruth
Ruth
was new to the
doesn't-
board,
I'd
so
like-
if you could, a list of
Sure,
like
we can put what the packet
Yes,
was,
that's
we can
right,
put the
I'm sorry, Ruth.
application.
Yes, the application,
Yeah.
and then with his initial, he submitted like a
plan.
3-page plan with drawings and then
Yes.
kind of
Floor
any
plan.
concerns
Yep.
that you have going into it.
Certainly, and that's one of the things we've asked him to be prepared to discuss. If he would like any modifications to his floor plan, discussions on his hours,
Right.
all of those items require the board's approval.
Right.
So I've asked him to certainly be aware to come prepared for that at 5:30 next Tuesday.
Great. Anything else the board wants, Mitch?
No.
asked
No.
or
Thank you,
prepared
Mitch.
for that?
Just an adherence to what we've asked for, and
Yeah.
that's all.
Certainly, yeah, it's a lot of progress each time I go.
And that's
more
open
is
to the public
added.
as well.
Absolutely.
It's part of our public
Absolutely.
meeting.
Yep.
Great, okay.
That's the highlight. That's the
That's
big
your
item,
highlight?
yeah.
Okay. Liaison reports?
I'll jump in.
Sure.
Well, here, let's get the fun stuff out of the way first.
Always one of my favorite
Oh,
parts of the meeting.
Right? Set your DVRs, here it comes. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 13 totaling $543,000, $543,007.84, and expense warrant number 13 totaling $643,864.63 on September 26, 2018. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 14 totaling $114,836.31, and expense warrant number 14 totaling $579,860.70 on October 3rd, 2018. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 15 totaling $566,361.95, and expense warrant number 15 totaling $305,786.94 on October 9th, 2018. Stop DVR recording. The other one I have is for, I was at the planning board on Thursday night, I forget which night it was.
Yeah, Thursday.
It was it was even quicker than one of our meetings. It was probably about
Wow.
a half hour. Nothing real glaring on the menu, but there is a workshop coming up that they're having related to the MBTA expansion project down there. I have the dates outside. I apologize. They're in my truck. I should have brought
That's
them in.
okay.
But that is coming up, and there's also another workshop coming up, I believe, as she said, with rights of way, as Monica's gone, to discuss some other things as well. So those are the
Great.
only two meaty things. That's it.
Great.
That's all I have.
Great.
Thank
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm just curious, Don, is this the transit-oriented development?
Yep.
Do they have a developer?
They didn't get into that at the meeting. If they do, I'm unaware of one,
Okay.
but I'm sure that would be a
No.
great meeting to
Yeah.
ask that question with.
Yeah, because nothing's going to happen
They don't have
until
any-
they have, if
right.
they don't have a developer with,
Yeah.
Right.
with money.
I think they're more in the visioning stages
Okay.
and to see what's going on, but again, that would be great to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
up then.
okay, good, yeah. I'd like
And I'll
to-
get the dates. I'll make sure everybody
Okay,
has
great.
them, so you
Thank
know
you.
when
Great.
everything
Yep.
is.
Great. Anybody else?
No, Mitch, Denise and I went to the
Oh, yeah, chamber.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, great.
That
Thanks
was
for
very
doing that.
interesting. I've got some little things to pass. They have there's a new thing this year that's going to be the Rockport Makers Festival, December 15th and
Yeah.
16th.
Rockport
There-
what? Makers?
Makers
Okay,
Festival.
yep.
Yeah.
It's on all different sort of handmade type things that are going to be at Brackett's and the Art Association, and it's put on by, what is it, Ingrid and
Oh, Rusty and Ingrid.
Rusty and
Yeah,
Ingrid.
cool.
And they've been working with these people over the years in Boston and stuff, and
Great.
they're bringing it to Rockport with the
Really
other
cool.
Christmas festival things that will be very good for
Great.
the town.
So
Love
this
it.
will be done during Christmas and
Yeah,
Rockport
yeah.
Festival.
And this weekend is Harvest Fest.
Right, this weekend is
Yes.
Harvest Fest,
Yes.
and then there's the plein air coming up.
Yeah, the plein air is
Plein air, yep.
this week, right?
Happening right now.
Right
now,
now.
right
now.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Ken Knowles has had some great stuff up. I saw Kenny's stuff. It was awesome.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
You know,
really nice stuff.
it's amazing. I remember when they started Christmas in Rockport in the mid 80s or early 80s. They used to have the ice sculptures.
Yep.
And they had to stop it
Because it was too warm.
too warm. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, we would
Ice sculptures are
have
so
this,
cool.
you know, like
Yep.
all over town, and then they did it up until I want to say 1990 or so, but they had to stop because
It was so cool.
the temperature warmed, and it was sad. But I like the fact that they're doing this.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only update was that I went to a historical commission meeting, and I was going to fill you in on the Dogtown, but now I don't have to.
You're good.
Are you the one spreading the rumors?
Yeah, you caught me.
Especially the Ferris wheel was
The
you, I
Ferris
think.
wheel was me, yes.
Okay. All right, I think that's it. Moving on, action list. Appointment of Glenn Alto as a member of the Finance Committee.
I move that the board appoint Glenn Alto for a term on the Finance Committee to expire on May 1st, 2021.
Second.
I'll abstain because I wasn't here for the interview of him, and I actually don't know him. Okay. All those, is there a second? Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And then we have the appointment of Nancy Pittman as a member of the Council on Aging. I actually do know Nancy, so.
I move that the board appoint Nancy Pittman for a term on the Rockport Cultural Council to expire on June 30th, 2020.
Wait, is she count? She's
For Council on Aging.
Oh, Council on Aging, here it is.
Council on
Yeah.
Aging.
Yep.
Council on Aging. Okay.
That was messed up the last time,
It
too.
was.
I think it was messed up last time. So.
Is there a
And it was
second?
again.
Our apologies.
Is there a
for that.
second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Appointment of Kimberly Sutherland as Treasurer Collector Operations Assistant.
Madam Chair, I am proud to move that the board appoint Kimberly Sutherland as Treasurer Collector, Operations Assistant, effective October 22nd, 2018.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I am so happy about this.
Yep.
I have grown up with
I'm over the
Kim.
moon on this one.
Yeah.
Love this
She will
one.
be excellent.
She's the best.
Yeah.
She's one of my
Love
favorite
Kim.
people.
Yep.
And it,
Love
when,
Kim.
when this comes up, you know, having grown up in Rockport, and I think
Yeah.
Ruthie could probably, and Sarah
Yep.
can say the same thing, it's really fun to vote on
Yep.
people that you've known and good, great people. So
Yeah.
And she's so excited.
She's so
So
excited.
excited.
She is
She's
awesome.
so
Great
excited.
person.
It will
Great
be great
person.
to have her in town hall, and I think she's an excellent person
Yep.
for this job.
Oh, I
And
do.
she knows the focus of customer service that we're
Oh,
looking for in
absolutely.
town, and I think
Yeah.
she's gonna deliver.
Yeah.
She absolutely is gonna deliver.
In only the way she can.
That's right. That's right.
Believe me, I know that.
That's right.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have approval of $1,500 withdrawal from the Conservation Fund.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the Conservation Commission's request to withdraw $1,500 from the Conservation Fund for recording secretary pay for FY 2019.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded, and there was a memo about this. Any questions? All those in favor
read it.
say aye.
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 Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approval of World Elder Abuse Day on November 8th, 2018. They actually do this twice a year because I was feeling like it was more than annually, and it is. So now
You feel
it wasn't
better?
crazy.
I move that the board grant the Rockport Police Department, the Council on Aging, and Senior Care permission to hold their biannual participation in the World Elder Abuse Awareness Day at Five Corners on Thursday, November 8th, 2018, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Second.
All those, any further comment? All
Yeah,
those
I
in-
have a comment, a funny comment. My mother, to this day, has always said, you know, all the selectmen and the other people have shown up at this thing. Why don't you come? And I said, Mom, it's between 10 and 12 o'clock. I work. I'm at the high school. And she goes, oh, that's right, I forgot. Right. But
I'm surprised
we all
that's good
support-
enough for your mother.
I know. That. Believe me, I had to duck it a little bit.
That's all right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And next we have plowing roads. If it's okay, I think it makes sense, like our workshop, to do the grandfathering the roads first and then to do the newer one. Is that okay
Yes.
with everybody?
Yes.
And Mitch, for the ratification, I-7, Mitch added the conditions in that he figured out that was the most appropriate way to do it. So that's why the motion's a little bit longer.
Okay.
Don,
We good?
This is
Yep.
you. Yep.
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve to grandfather all private roads that were plowed during the 2017-2018 seasons, subject to the following conditions. All restrictive access signage be removed by November 15th, 2018, and the road must at all times be maintained in such a condition so as not to cause damage to the town's snow plowing equipment. Failure to adhere to the aforementioned conditions shall result in a status review with the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. That sounds perfect to me. I think that's, you nailed it.
Very good.
Yep.
May I just comment? I want to thank the chairperson, Sarah Wilkinson, and former selectman Aaron Battistelli have worked very hard on this over the years.
I'm just like, thank God we all made, this
We're
board
done.
made it
Yep.
happen
It
because.
finally- it took
because
a
it
while.
was like 5 boards until this, we
Yeah,
just kept
no,
getting
it
put off
took a
and put
while,
off. So
but
thanks to
everyone
all
worked
of you.
hard, and we got it done, and we worked with the DPW, and so it wasn't easy. It's very, very confusing and so forth, so thank you.
And as with any policy in town, everything is subject to review after the fact. So we
Sure.
try it. If it works, we stay with it. If it needs tweaking, then we can tweak it and go.
Well
That's
said,
it.
Yeah.
well said.
Yeah, and I'm really happy after like all these years of kind of festering over this and tweaking and all, but I think we've come to, I'm really, really happy with
think it makes
this,
sense.
with what we've
Yep.
come to, and I think it benefits the residents equally. I think I'm like super, super happy with it.
Yep.
So,
I am too.
okay, so motion has been made and seconded, right? Any further comments on this portion?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the new plowing private roads policy. Selectwoman George?
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the recommended criteria for plowing private roads as amended.
Second?
Great. And then Mitch, do you want
Gonna put it up on the
look at this.
screen.
You think it's going to
Trying
connect?
this, well, I hope so.
This is a crapshoot.
It connected earlier, so fingers crossed. Let's see.
Right.
Just to give, it's substantially similar to what was provided at the workshop, but
Do you
giving an
want to just run
opportunity
down
for
it
everybody,
quickly?
I will run
Great.
through the
And
full
And
list.
explain the
at that.
changes.
Certainly.
We're in.
So,
Yeah, look at this.
The
blink.
criteria as discussed at the workshop would be, I'll run through the 6 of these. The private way must be open to the public and shall not have signage that would
So-
restrict.
Hold on, just to start over. So this is criteria for plowing private roads added after October 2nd.
Correct,
Right.
the ones not subject to grandfathering.
Great.
The private way must be open to the public and shall not have signage that would restrict public use for travel, such as private road or residence only. 2, the private way may be needed for public safety, i.e. hydrant on way, emergency access to beach, crossover road, as determined by the Board of Selectmen. 3, there must be a minimum of 3 residences. A residence shall be defined as a separate structure abutting the private way. 4, the length of the road shall be at least 300 feet and shall be a laid-out roadway, specifically excluding easements and driveways. 5, the road shall be maintained at all times in such a condition so as not to cause damage to the town's snow plowing equipment. 6, the private way shall provide an area for the disposal or placement of snow and a turnaround area sufficient for the designated snow plow equipment. Owners of private ways who meet all criteria and who wish to be plowed by the town shall petition the Board of Selectmen for inclusion on the approved plow list. The town shall promulgate the necessary petition forms, and all owners on the private way must consent to such service. The town shall receive fully executed license and general release agreements from all owners on private ways prior to the commencement of plowing services. The town reserves the right to make exceptions, terminate, or refuse snow plowing services should all criteria, as determined by the Board of Selectmen, not be met. The approved plow list shall be maintained by the Office of the Board of Selectmen with copies on file with the Department of Public Works and Town Clerk. So, Madam Chair, one area that I know that we had reached back out to Town Council on was the length of the roadway. So, Council went back and forth and did some research, and at the end of the day, she felt most comfortable with leaving it at 300 feet and ensuring that we focus on laid-out roadways and exclude driveways and easements, that she felt that the combination of those two was an appropriate way to move forward.
Right, and we could always, if they met all the criteria, make an exception to something under 300 feet, granted that it is a laid-out roadway.
Correct.
Not a right-of-way on a private road.
Correct.
Exactly. Which is which is illegal for us.
Yes,
to- yeah.
and these criteria were vetted by Town Council. I know there were some previous thoughts and opinions on this matter.
Yep.
Council twice reviewed the full list of
Great.
criteria and stated that it was appropriate for us to proceed with these.
Yes, and our council that we're working with this on is the council at KP that is working with several cities and towns.
Correct,
On this
where
issue,
she's done
right?
multiple
Yeah.
plowing private road
Which
matters.
was helpful, because she was able to
She had
rattle
good
off
information.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Questions or comments? This looks perfect to me. and
The only comment I have, a question and comment slash, is as far, if somebody is deemed to be in violation, again, I brought this up at the workshop, how are we going to present that so people know what their remedies are?
So procedurally, we would treat it as we do with any other way if you're in violation or if there's something that's owed to the town. We have a 3-step process that we go through. We send out a letter. If there's no response there, we send a second one, certified and regular, and we have these stickers that we now apply to envelopes that say "Do not ignore," similar to what you may get if you go through the Easy Pass without your transponder. You get that
Oh,
bright
yeah.
orange envelope.
Yeah.
We don't have the orange envelopes. We have those stickers that we apply that say "Do not ignore." So we would try that, and then a third time again, we do another round, certified and regular, to notify somebody. And then at the end of the day, if there is an issue, it comes before the Board of Selectmen to make a final determination on whether somebody's on or off.
So let's extrapolate just a bit forward. They get the letter, everybody responds. This isn't a non-response situation. Now they're going to get that letter and they're going to be asked to come here.
So they're going to be asked to remedy the matter.
Okay.
And if they don't remedy it within a certain time frame, which is typically 15 to 30 days, depending on the issue, then we would say you do need to come in for a hearing with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. And that policy, I just want to make sure that
So that's
it's public and it's there and people know what it is.
Yes, so the 3-step process is what we use for anything and everything in town if there's something wrong. So I think it's appropriate for us to apply that in this particular case.
Good, thank you.
Perfect. That's great.
Great.
Keep it consistent with
Yep,
everything else. That's
exactly.
great. Great
Thank you.
idea. Nice work. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
Woohoo.
Thank you.
I like
Okay.
when we make progress. This is good.
Motion has been made and seconded. Someone second?
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay.
Thank
Motion
you.
carries.
That's it.
Great.
Good job.
Yay.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
it.
know Ruth is headed to the DPW tomorrow night, so she can just, if there are any questions, you can answer them regarding this,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Sounds great. Yay. Monica, question?
Just out of curiosity, how many of the private roads are there in those two categories? Do you have any idea?
What two categories?
We have the list that somebody could certainly look at.
It's about 70 or 80, I believe, isn't it?
Oh, there are, I think, 80 that aren't plowed,
Right.
but the vast majority of those are rights of way on private. So it's
It's a small fraction
it's a
of the
small
unplowed
fraction of that
list
that
that's
could that
eligible.
are eligible, that could apply. And Mitch has the list. We could get it to you.
Right.
But it's way, as soon as town council said that it's cut and dry that we can't plow any rights of ways on private, that deletes dozens of them.
I just added them up. So the ones, private street listings not plowed, there were 40 on the list?
I think there are 2 pages though.
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's only down to like 20 that. it
Are
goes-
eligible,
it goes
or
to-
that might even be
Yeah,
eligible.
that might be
Correct.
eligible.
Yeah, so it's not
I'm
going
way
to
down.
add. Yeah, it's interesting, yeah. Because I think
But
at
thank
first
you
we
for-
thought it might add dozens and it could potentially add dozens, but it doesn't.
Thank you for all your hard work. I mean
Yes,
that.
Sarah, thank you.
Everybody, thanks.
Sarah.
Okay, what else do we have? Let's see.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
No. Any other business or announcements? Next week we have our,
The Red Sox are playing tonight.
We did?
Know that about that.
I must have been sleeping during that.
I think you slept through.
Next week, Madam Chair, the board has a workshop, starts at 5:30 PM to
Right.
accommodate the status
Whistle Stop
update with
Market.
Whistle Stop Market, and then 6 PM with Long Beach Infrastructure Committee, and then 7:30 discussion on the sewer capacity.
Yes, and sewer capacity may be, I'll work with you on the agenda for that. That may
Certainly.
be an initial, that may be something that we have to have several meetings for, but that's just to kind
I
of get the
expect you would.
conversation started with,
Okay.
with several groups of people.
Yep.
That makes sense? Great.
Completely.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All
Second.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Go Sox.
Peace out.
Yay.